Whenever you think about Gundam Unicorn, I imagine a few things come to mind. If you're thinking about the series, you're probably thinking about the awesome mobile suit fights, or just Torrington, some of the more interesting characters, or the plethora of awesome mobile suits that came out of that show. Well, today we're going to be talking about the most notable of those mobile suits, the Unicorn Gundam. Well, the entire RX-0 line is what we're going to discuss today. I imagine some people aren't super fond of my criticisms of the show, but I think that Unicorn is good, and I'm actually a huge fan of the RX-0 line of suits. Let's face it, transformation sequences with the Unicorn, the Banshee, or the Phenex are always fun to look at. Plus, the three mobile suits are so aesthetically pleasing, and yet so simple. God, I really need to build my Banshee Norn. However, we're specifically going to be talking about something today that makes these mobile suits ridiculously threatening and makes them frightening. I imagine some of you are thinking that I'm about to do some sort of big-time mobile suit breakdown like I do with the deep dives in the War series that I do, but I really don't want to do too much of that, but rather focus on a specific system, if the title of the video wasn't a dead giveaway. So let's start with the commonalities of all three suits. All three of them use an incredibly powerful beam rifle called a beam magnum that fires a concentrated shot of beam energy that doesn't even need to hit you directly to destroy a normal mobile suit. It's like someone took the destructive power of the Double Zeta's high mega cannon and just condensed it into a smaller beam with the exact same amount of punch. The suits are also compatible with larger Psychomu weaponry seen with the shield funnels that the Unicorn used, or the armed armor units that the Phenex used remotely. So it goes without saying that as Gundams, these are very effective machines that have a lot of punch to them. But here's the question. What is it that sets them apart from their predecessors like the Zeta, the Double Zeta, or the new Gundam? Well, the answer to that question is layered. The first layer is that we're a bit further down the development line. As anyone would expect, the design specifications of the new Gundam and what made it tick aren't just going to sit on Anaheim's servers gathering dust. Well, Data can't really gather dust, but you get what I mean. Somebody is going to want to come along, take exactly what made that mobile suit as good as it is, and try to improve on it. What I consider the Unicorn Gundam to be is a sort of typical military approach to problem solving. It usually tends to follow one general rule. There's no kill like overkill. I'm not just talking about the weapon loadouts either, though God knows all three Unicorn units are completely and totally capable of that. The amount of these armaments that these things can equip would make Troll Barton look at them and go, this is nice, maybe I should give it a test drive. I don't say something with more enthusiasm than that because, believe it or not, the Heavy Arms Kai actually has more ballistic loadout in it than the Unicorn full armor does. That should give you an idea of how much DACA the Heavy Arms has. Just saying. No, the overkill comes from what is underneath the Gundarium armor plating. You see, what made their predecessors so unique was that it used a substance called psychoframe inside of the cockpit. Both the new Gundam and the Sazabi did this. What it did for both mobile suits was effectively give them biosensors on bath salts. The lore behind the suits almost makes it sound like the hand controls for the mobile suits weren't even that necessary for them given how in tune their suits would be to their type of abilities and the psychoframe being so in tune with new type brainwaves, effectively being able to mostly pilot the damn thing with your brain. And given that Amuro Ray could basically make the original Gundam tap dance if he wanted to, it would explain why he was throwing out moves on Char that make you wonder if he got training in between Zeta and Char's counterattack from the Undefeated of the East. Either that or Chibity Crockett. Either way, the Psycho Frame also reacted in a way that no one expected when it managed to undo the splitting of Axis and save the entire Earth. Granted, it cost Amuro his life. Now, the thing about military development is that the question that is going to be asked by most militaries whenever it comes to weapons development is very simple. Did the weapon in question actually accomplish its objective? In this particular case, you look at that combat deployment, you see that your boy won, you see that Char Aznable's dead, and he didn't succeed in his mission, you're going to call it a success. So the logical question is going to be what is going to happen if you put even more psychoframe into a mobile suit. This is the second layer of what I was talking about earlier. Specifically what they did was they just put psychoframe throughout the entire frame of the mobile suit. So effectively what they did is they built a movable frame like they do with all mobile suits at this point in time. Well, they've done with every mobile suit since the Gundam Mark II. And then they looked at that frame and like, yeah, let's just throw some psychoframe in there. Fuck it. I mean, a small concentration of this stuff effectively managed to affect time itself. So what we're going to do is ignore that. We're going to take even more psychoframe, just stuff it into a single machine. Then we'll fuck it. We'll see what happens. Oh, to hell with it. You know what? Let's go a little further. We're going to build 3 of these damn things. Why? Because fuck Zeon, that's why. Because, well, why did they do this exactly? The answer comes with the transformation gimmick of the Unicorn units. The NTD system. Though Gundam Unicorn as a series really like to bang on about the machine being the beast of possibility, it's likely that a lot of people at Anaheim Electronics just saw this thing as the beast of booty-blasting Neo-Zeon new types. You see, NTD stands for New Type Destroyer. They specifically built this machine and its brother units to kill new types. What all that Psycho Frame and the transformation gimmick allow this thing to do is for a new type to go into combat with a Zeon-style mobile suit as their opponent and completely dominate it without much issue. The simple fact is that it can take over new type weaponry, and that should horrify anybody from the Zeon faction. It is the ultimate weapon built solely for the purpose of effectively annihilating an entire faction from the universe. You have to keep in mind how many mobile suits from Neo-Zeon have been using funnels since as far back as, well, even the 1-year war in the original Zeon military. You, of course, had the Elmeth, then the Elmeth's successor in the Cubile units. You had the Quin Mantha that used them, the Kshatriya, the Gaymalk, the Sazabi, and many more that I'm probably forgetting. And all of them are very reliant on funnels for their offensive output, though some more than others. So what happens when their ability to attack you from all angles is gone? Well, they're at a massive disadvantage. Now you can take that multi-angle attack and then turn it on them. And more than likely, they haven't trained against such a thing, because Zeon would never expect it to happen. So at that point, the fight goes from being a fight to somebody just getting curb-checked. You can call these machines the beasts of possibility all you want, but really it's just the possibility of ass-kicking that the developers were thinking about. If they were used by individuals strictly for war, or piloted by people with maybe the morality of like a Titan's cyber new type or something like that, what could you do to stop them? To that end, I have a feeling that that's all the Federation was really thinking about. After all these wars with Zeon, they probably just wanted something that they could use to close the book on this nonsense and finish these genocidal bastards off once and for all. The problem is that all that Psycho Frame in the hands of a new type is a disaster waiting to happen. As we saw with 2 of the pilots, this type of a system is very hard to control, because effectively your emotions are going to get so mixed up and screwed up in the heat of battle that you could lose yourself to the machine, especially if you're not a mentally stable person coming into this. It's not like everybody really has the experience and the level-headedness of an Amuro Ray in the Federation, now do they? However, it can get even more horrifying. The level of horror I'm talking about is something that you need to look at in the Phenex Gundam. You see, the plot of Gundam narrative deals with the lead character of Jonah Basta trying to find one of his childhood friends who just happened to be a pretty powerful new type. Well, it turns out that she was just a test subject for one of the Unicorn units. So what happens sometimes when you put all this Psycho Frame into a machine, and then put a new type into it, and for one reason or another things start to go sideways? Well, it's hinted, but not completely confirmed, within Gundam that a new type's abilities manifest as psychic power, but the source of their abilities is the soul itself. This would, of course, be why they can effectively see beyond death. So, in this particular case, I want you to imagine piloting a machine only for your soul to be sucked out of your fucking body and trapped inside of the machine itself. That's what happened with the Phenex Gundam. Effectively taking this gorgeous machine and turning into what seems like an eldritch nightmare, making its pilot live a situation where they have no mouth, and yet they must scream. Though the tone of Gundam narrative isn't really horrifying in the least, this idea is absolutely terrifying to me. However, in an interesting way, I consider the NTD system to be sort of a meta-commentary on just how dark the Universal Century is, and how the Federation would overcorrect whenever it came to, going up against Zeon. The Titans, whether you realize it or not, were a massive overcorrection as a response to Zeon after Operation Stardust, and obviously it backfired on them. These suits are a similar line of thinking. Zeon new types are a problem. They kill a lot of people. The last 2 that we saw came out with new type specific weaponry, and they were looking to destroy the entire fucking planet We need to get rid of these guys by any means possible. Whenever the Federation says any means possible, nothing good happens. First it was the Titans, now it's the Unicorn units. These machines are meant to destroy new types and Zeon new type mobile suits for absolute domination on the battlefield. But the funny thing about all this is they did it near the end of Zeon's military life. They're willing to take a dangerous substance like Psychoframe and fill an entire mobile suit with it just to kill some dudes. It's raw escalation in one mobile suit. Well, 3 mobile suits, but you get my drift. It's effectively a sort of meta-commentary on how little one military can also think about the life of a soldier, given what these machines do to people. I shudder to think what would have happened if someone like Paptimus Scirocco got his hands on a suit like the Unicorn, as opposed to someone of much stronger moral fiber like Banashir Lynx. So yeah, that's the NTD system, one of the most horrifying concepts in all of the Universal Century that a lot of people do not realize is as scary as it is. Outside of the hopeful soundtrack of Hiroyuki Sawano, you start to realize just how jacked up the glow of Psychoframe really can be. If you enjoy videos like this, please do not forget to throw your support at the channel, become a channel member to get early access to videos like this. On top of that, if you are a fan of good stories, head over to see Grindstone Arts' newest offering, Black Rhapsody Part 2, written by my protege Serena, edited by yours truly. This particular book is a taking of the magical girl genre, flipping it on its head in a really fun and interesting way. So if you do like Mahou Shoujo stuff, or if you really like horror, you're going to dig it. So on that note, guys, I want to thank every single one of you for coming by and hanging out with me today. My name is Big Micah C, your favorite vanilla gorilla. Have yourself a great rest of your day.